All right. Hello, everyone. A very good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are, wherever you're watching from. And welcome to our discussion today, our 65th discussion. And today we have wonderful ladies on the panel. Before I introduce them, let me introduce myself first. My name is Engineer Abalo Irene. I am a chemical engineer. I'm also an energy and environmental engineer, and I'm going to be your moderator for today. So I hope you will gain from my wonderful list of ladies that I have for you all. And yeah, today's topic is one that hits home for each and every one of us here, the ladies on the panel. I'll briefly introduce the topic before I can introduce my wonderful panelists. So our topic today is the South Sudanese women in in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, so the STEM. Not to go into more details, I'll just give a brief facts about STEM in general, globally. According to a UNESCO's report, only 35% of STEM students in higher education are women. This is on a global setting. And this differs from the different disciplines of the various STEMs. Can be engineering, can be IT, medicine, pharmaceutical, and so on. For example, about only 3% of female students in higher education chose information and communication technologies. Also, of the wonderful Nobel Prize, I'm sure we're all aware, we're all familiar with, only 17 women have won a Nobel Prize so far in physics, in chemistry, and this is since 1903. And compared to the male ones, our male counterparts, so far 572 men have won Nobel Prize. So if you look at the disparity, it's quite huge, only 17 women and 572 men. So it's a bit unfair, I should say. Today, only 28% of all the world's researchers are women. And such huge disparities, such deep inequality do not happen by chance. And I hope today my panelists will tap into why there are all these disparities, looking into our society as South Sudan as well. Again, if you narrow down to the about 10% of the females are in STEM careers. So this is very, very, very low. So too many girls are being held back by discrimination, biases, social norms, expectations that influence their quality of education and subjects they study. So this is just a bit of an introduction, like a quick, run through what STEM is and looking at the global facts about STEM and where women stand. So now I will I'll start off with Engineer Miriam Dangasuk. Engineer Miriam is a professional chemical engineer and an energy and environment engineer, as well as a policy expert. She has over 6 years of related work experience in both private and nonprofit sectors. She's an accredited leadership in energy and environment design, which is LEED, Green Associate with the US Green Building Council, a leading program for green buildings and communities worldwide. She is also a member of the Young African Leaders Initiative, the YALI. She's currently working for the Africa Center for Strategic Progress in Washington, D.C., where she explores ways of promoting responsible use of energy, natural resources, and the environment. Notably, she conducts extensive research on water and food security, power and clean energy, and implications of climate change in Africa. Previously, she's worked for Mennonite community of churches as an evaluation consultant, and as an environmental peace builder at the Environmental Law Institute in Washington, D.C., USA. She worked for the International Committee of the Red Cross as well as a water and habitat engineer in South Sudan, and for Schlumberger as a field engineer in Stavanger, Norway. In addition to her vast experience, Miriam holds an MA in Global Environment Policy from the American University, MS in Environmental and Energy Engineering from the University of Sheffield in the UK, and a Bachelor of Engineering in Chemical and Process Engineering from Moy University. She is an alumnus of the Mandela Washington Fellowship. She is also a member of the Women in STEM, Women in Science, Technology, Engineering and Mathematics, South Sudan branch. My next wonderful panelist is Engineer Labina Bongoria Patricia Kenyi, who is a civil engineer by profession and water and sanitation and hygiene WASH specialist with a master's degree in water, sanitation and health engineering from University of Leeds. She's currently a WASH program coordinator at Rural Water and Sanitation Support Agency, RUWASA, a local NGO meeting WASH needs in South Sudan's communities. She also serves on the board of director of Rural Finance Initiative, a cross-border MFI providing South Sudan communities in Uganda's refugees with financial services with a dual mission of financial and social impact. In addition, Engineer Labina is a Kovna Women in Science, Technology, Engineering and Mathematics, South Sudan. Labina aspires to use her career to positively contribute in addressing the increasingly complex societal and global challenges. You're very welcome, Labina and Miriam. My third panelist is Miss Lina. Miss Lina Sarah Matthew. She's the South Sudanese Women Award winner of Science, Technology and Research Award. Ms. Lina is currently a PhD Fellow, Faculty of Medicine, Department of Pharmacy, under Farm BioTrack Project, Africa Center for Excellence, the second Barara University of Science and Technology, Uganda. She has an MSc in Biology from University of Juba and a Bachelor of Science in Chemistry and Biology, as well as a Diploma in Education from University of Bahar al-Ghazal, College of Education, WAO, South Sudan. Ms. Lina is a biology lecturer at the University of Bahar al-Ghazal and part-time lecturer at the University of Juba. She currently has 14 PhDs and MSc candidates, both males and females, under her research mentorship. She's an executive member of Women's Bloc of South Sudan in Intergovernmental Authority on Development, IGAD, led on gender, serving as a gender and peace activist, supporting rural women on grassroots level in community decision-making, and advocate for full and equal representation of women to participate in all the various decision-making positions, whether in the government or the private sector. In 2021, Ms. Lina participated effectively in operationalization of East African Health Research Commission and launch of Young East African Health Research Scientists Forum Initiative in South Sudan as a coordinator. She has been involved in various research projects, and her manuscript on ethnomedical knowledge and traditional use of Aristolochia bracteolate lamb, very difficult tones there, Ms. Lina, for malaria among local communities in Jubek state of South Sudan. Excuse me. She's a Kahoot member and coordinator of South Sudan Young. Okay. We are proud of Ms. Lina Sarah Matthew for her efforts towards research on traditional medicine, for her commitment to mentoring others in science and research, for her dedication to the advancement of science and research within South Sudan and East African region, and her work as a gender and peace activist. You are very welcome to our discussion today, Ms. Lina. I'm very honored to be here and moderate this discussion with you. My next panelist is Dr. Ayan Ajoy. Dr. Ayan is a clinical pharmacist by profession, currently working in the University of Juba in the School of Medicine as a lecturer and heading the Department of Pharmacology. Apart from the University of Juba, she has also taught in various institutions like Upper Nile University, St. Mary's College, and College of Physicians and Surgeons. In the private sector, she has worked in Queen's Pharmacy in the NGO field with the Malaria Consortium before starting her career in academia. Currently, Dr. Ayan is also a member of South Sudanese Women in Medicine, of which she is a co-founder and holds the position as the Executive Council representative. South Sudanese Women in Medicine is a non-profit membership-based NGO registered in South Sudan, whose mission is to actively engage South Sudanese medical women in the three professions of medicine, pharmacy, and dentistry to positively share healthcare in South Sudan. South Sudanese Women in Medicine invites all like-minded medical women in these professions to join their organization. I'm honored you're here, Dr. Ayan, and you're very welcome to our panel discussion. And my next panelist is the wonderful Dr. Engineer Flora Ayoa Severino Ladu. I believe she's the first, correct me if I'm wrong, but she's the first female in this country to get a PhD in this engineering world. So she's my inspiration. I'm happy to read out your biography. Dr. Engineer Flora spent her time using the knowledge and skills she obtained to teach in the University of Juba since 2003 and other universities in South Sudan to participate in the South Sudan nation building through sharing knowledge in the lecture halls, laboratories, and outside in the field training students. It has been an interesting journey, which she loves so much. There was no female teaching staff in the Department of Geology and Mining when she first joined University of Juba in 2003 to look up to. Dr. Engineer Ladu is the first female lecturer and head of Department of Geology and Mining and interim dean School of Petroleum and Minerals up to date in the University of Juba. Geology and mining and petroleum engineering was presumed as men's fields, but the engineer didn't put gender as an obstacle. As such, she excelled in education in these fields and progressed to higher position of her profession in teaching and administration roles. Dr. Engineer Ladu knows there is no limit for learning more knowledge and skills. As such, she continues to upgrade in her field. She's well skilled in petroleum engineering, geology, and mining. Dr. Engineer Ladu earned her doctorate of philosophy in mining and engineering from Virginia Polytechnic Institute and State University in the USA. Master of Science in Petroleum Engineering from University Technology Petronas in Malaysia, and also a Bachelor of Science in Geology and Mining from University of Juba in South Sudan. She went to the St. Augustine Secondary School in Khartoum and St. Joseph Primary School in Juba. Her kindergarten was Markas Jiran Kindergarten in Katol, Juba. Apart from her professional work, Dr. Engineer Flora Ladu also does research and consultancy work seeking solutions to social issues of South Sudan population. She also likes farming and gardening as her portion towards participating in food security in very small scale. You're very welcome, Dr. Engineer Flora. I'm happy you're here. Last but not least, I have Ms. Nyanyai Garang Mabil. Ms. Nyanyai Garang Mabil is an IT operation assistant with the WFP. She joined WFP in 2018. She holds a Bachelor of Science in Applied Information Technology from ISBAD University in Uganda and a Diploma in Software Engineering from Uptech University, Uganda. Outside of work, she enjoys swimming, and going to the gym. You're very welcome, my ladies in the panel. Now to dive right into our discussion today, I would like to invite Engineer Miriam to please unmute your camera, unmute your microphone, and tell us briefly what STEM education is. What does it mean to you to be a woman in STEM? Please also highlight some important facts and benefits of choosing STEM. You're very welcome.
Thank you, Irene, for the introduction and for the question. STEM education at its very core simply means educating students in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics disciplines. So STEM generally combines some or even all four in an interdisciplinary and applied approach so that the students are equipped to provide solutions in real world applications and in the end impact the society positively. Examples are technology innovations such as apps which make life easier, chemical engineers coming up with environmental friendly ways to manufacture everyday items that we use, civil engineers who build energy efficient houses and minimize the impact on the environment, even scientists coming up with new medicines that help cure current medical problems. So these are just a few examples of STEM. To me, being a woman in STEM is fighting against gender inequality and empowering women, be it financially by working in and getting fair pay, or even mentally. This includes boosting our self-esteem by working in male-dominated fields. Gender doesn't affect mentality or skills, and STEM encourages anyone who is innovative and open to new ideas, regardless of their gender. So some of the benefits of choosing STEM is that STEM teaches that failure is okay. Not every experiment will go as planned. Not all innovations are successful. And the students who are in STEM or people in STEM then learn to build resilience and sometimes even learn that an error can lead to other possibilities waiting to be explored. Also, subjects taught in isolation give the impression that disciplines exist independently, but STEM encourages integrated learning. So this interdisciplinary approach will foster advances in critical thinking, collaboration, problem solving, which also encourages innovation. And in South Sudan in particular, STEM jobs are the future of the economy. Employment in STEM occupations such as healthcare, engineering, and so on and so forth is projected to grow, which generally requires a strong STEM background. And women in such careers are better placed to have a more fulfilled future. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Engineer Miriam. And I like the fact that you say failure is okay. It's okay to fail, but it's not okay to dwell in the failure. So very nice points you've put across. And now to go back to my senior, Engineer Dr. Flora, I would like you to please tell us um, how were you encouraged to get into STEM? Do you feel you had equal opportunities as the men back in the days during your time when you were studying?
Much for giving me the chance. Actually, in the family, I think I have good parents whom did not discriminate between the gender of their kids. So I remember I had equal opportunity to go to school, and we were given freedom to choose what we want to do. So right away from primary, we were given all the opportunities. In doing mathematics, we were caught up with our parents. They helped us. So they were very supportive, and I think they brought that in a way that the child chooses what they want to do, not the parents forcing the child to do what they think is good. So I was not oriented to arts fields in a context that it's easy and it's for ladies. No, that one did not happen. And I was given equal opportunity. We actually went to the same schools with my brother, and we got the same education. And lucky enough, we all chose to go for science, which is STEM, of course, and excel and join engineering later on. So I think I was given equal opportunity to join the STEM field like any other child and like any male child.
Thank you so much. And indeed, family plays a very important dynamic or role when it comes to, choosing a career and making a career for everybody's life, regardless of gender. Now, with a similar context, Dr. Ayan, growing up, did you have a mentor that guided you towards joining STEM? Did you have a similar story as Dr. Engineer Flora?
Thank you, Irene. Now, what I would say about mentorship, I did get a bit of family support, but what I look at mentorship, I look at it as the female role models and trying to understand what the career path and what were the obstacles we are yet to face in the future. And based on that, I would say mentorship was really limited at my time, because at that point in time, I would know what the career had in future for me, and knowing that STEM careers were basically male dominated, and such, it doesn't really give you an opportunity. It doesn't give the opportunity to young females to go and excel outside there in male dominated fields. So as such, I'd say the younger generation have more of a benefit right now, because there are those mentorship programs that are coming about. And then also we have female role models. And why I mention female role models is because they understand what ladies and young girls are going through. They understand the male dominance. They understand the labor market. So as such, mentorship being provided by these women will go a long way to the young girls who are coming behind us. So not just that, I think that is pretty much an advantage to those ones who are coming up, because there are even policies that have gone, that are being done right now, and these policies are in support of young girls who are going to come up. And so mentorship plays, it's really a benefit right now to those ones who are behind us. And also, I just want to mention, there's so many countries right now who have given us some benefits of mentorship. I just give an example of some countries abroad, like Belgium, where we have some research PhD holders who are actually given mentors. And why they're doing that is because they want women to be recognized, so that they can identify with some role models and see those names and be proud of, and to know that there are people who have gone ahead of them. So as such, lastly, I want to say mentorship wasn't there, it wasn't strong enough, but right now, it really helps those who are coming behind. And I really encourage young females who are in these STEM careers to come up and look out for mentorship programs and enroll in them, so that they can actually benefit and actually be able to compete in the work environment later in their future endeavors. Thank you, Irene.
Thank you so much. It's good to hear from two different dynamics, because I believe I'm more new. Maybe me, Miriam, and Patricia are a bit more new, and we definitely look up to you, ladies. And I hope the young females that are listening right now, they can have courage that they have got mentors in such amazing group of panelists we have today. Now, Engineer Patricia, just to briefly go to you. What is your favorite thing about engineering? What do you love so much about engineering?
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be amongst you amazing ladies contributing to this great discussion. Well, talking of engineering, for me, that's quite a broad area. So I will try to narrow it down to the discipline I'm in right now, that is civil engineering. So for me, there are a number of favorite things that that make civil engineering interesting. And but here are my top three. Number one, for me, being able to see the tangible results of my hard work kind of brings a lot of satisfaction. That feeling of being able to point to a building or a facility or a water point in years to come and say, yeah, I helped build that or create that. For me, it's a good feeling. For example, each time I pass by Juba University and see university students utilizing the basketball court, I always say to myself, like, wow, I can't believe what I helped in creating is still existing and is still, helping to create a future for other people, So it gives me that feeling of joy, of happiness to see that what I created is still existing. Secondly, I also draw satisfaction from the intangible work that I do. I'm in the humanitarian sector right now, and it's an amazing feeling knowing that my work is helping provide hundreds of people with clean water, with safe sanitation, or flood protection for my communities. These are people, probably over 90% of them have no clue of what I do, but at least I know what I do. And lastly, the uniqueness and scale of each project, Not that I have worked on most of them, but I have seen others work on them. Today you're working on a on a road network. Tomorrow it's a mega building, it's a mega bridge, or even a water treatment plant. It's all unique and it's all important. So I feel like civil engineers kind of create these physically largest things that humanity has ever dreamt of. They work on complex problems for critical structures that have an implication on people's lives. And these are people who are like you and I, who depend on us at getting it right. So any slight mistake can, people die, property is lost, the damage is really huge. And I think we are kind of superheroes in a way. So those are my favorite things about engineering. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now that I know you helped design the basketball court, I'm going to learn to play basketball and go there to play basketball. Now, I would like to direct my question to Miss Lina. How do we encourage our society to consider the long-term implication of gender messaging when it comes to STEM careers? Maybe narrow it down to the context of our country, South Sudan.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to participate in this important program. So the whole topic here is a bit broad, but I'm going to narrow it down to the context of South Sudan, and also especially in my field, because I have wanted people to really get inspired. Yeah. So we know in our country, our ladies, we are still lagging behind actually in terms of STEM, and the reason behind it is could be cultural, could be because men usually made us to believe that we are mentally lesser, and we are weak human being, and we cannot make it, especially in STEM. So some of our ladies, started to believe that. Some of the girls started to believe that they cannot, and the stereotyping stuff, like there are certain jobs meant for men, and there are certain jobs specifically meant for what, for ladies, like jobs like for engineering, ABCD. Like people believe that it's only men who can do that. But I want to encourage, all right? I want to encourage our people and our society that they shouldn't believe that women cannot do, in STEM. Yes, those days there were no any mentorship program, but right now I remember I participated in 2015 in the guest mentorship program for ladies. So at least by giving them that mentorship program, at least we're also encouraging them and we're also encouraging our society. But that mentorship program, of course, they would start to learn like the importance. Are we still on? Yeah. So they will start to learn the importance of STEM in the society, the importance of STEM in the country, and the importance of STEM in the knowledge body. For example, right now I'm doing research in the area of natural medicine, let me say herbal medicine. That Aristolochia bracteolata is the dicertimelo, actually, the one you are trying to pronounce. It is dicertimelo, and this medicine is naturally, widely used in the country for treatment of malaria and other diseases. Yeah, so I started to develop that passion right when I was still a small child, like our parents used to give us, and so bitter. But I was like, because I also started studying, my senior, I did my first year in Comboni. Comboni gives a very good impression to those days. I don't know nowadays, but those days they really encourage, they encourage us really in the field of sciences, because all the labs were available: lab for chemistry, lab for physics, lab for biology. So anyone who studied there, anyone who started to study there, you will start to feel like, no, I want to be a scientist. I want to be a scientist. And we had very good teachers who give us really, who really encourages us, like, we can do it, we can do it. That's how I started to develop the essence of being a scientist. And actually, I realize it is working, because right now I'm in the field of real science, where the medicine, I also administer to rats to see the effect, the safety, because people are checking it, how safe it is. So it's the real science. So by this, maybe exposing the young upcoming, let me say even children, not only adults, maybe from senior or maybe from primary, taking them to laboratories and see how people work. From there, they will start to be, they will start to develop the passion, and they would feel encouraged. And even later, the benefit would be like the country would also inform the knowledge body. Like when you do research in South Sudan, when you publish your work outside there, of course, people get to know like this work is done in South Sudan. And actually, I have already published 2 papers. It's already published, and the third one is now underway. So that's how we can encourage our people and our society in the field of STEM. And the implication, of course, is known. Whenever we are not participating, of course, we shall not be known outside there. It will be hard for us to search any information about South Sudan. That means we are doing nothing. We shall not be known in the knowledge body. So that's the implication, I think. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And believe you me, biology used to be one of my favorite subjects, but I couldn't do it with the names, so I ran away. All right. Now, looking at encouraging the society, encouraging people from the societal aspect, I will shift to more industrial aspect now. Engineer Miriam, how might we encourage more STEM-related industries to consider long-term implication of gender messaging?
Thank you, Irene, for the question. Gender mainstreaming is an approach that takes into account both women's and men's interests and so STEM-related industries can work on forging partnerships, like public-private partnerships between education institutions, for example, governments and companies working in STEM fields, so that the girls can have opportunities for interning or even having fellowships and scholarships in these areas to develop their aspirations to work in these industries. Also, by offering maybe paid internships or even apprenticeship opportunities for young girls and women, it will help them. It will help the girls from the disadvantaged communities to be able to also transition into the STEM fields. Thirdly, I would say STEM industries, related industries, can also fund girl-centered solutions and innovations. So when you have this group of girls or even one girl applying for funding to carry out a certain innovation, the companies can be a part of that and incubate support for these young female innovators. Fourthly, STEM-related industries should focus on recruiting more female employees and also work to retain and promote them throughout their careers. This, in the long term, will provide a mentorship program whereby the women who have worked for 10, 20 years are able to mentor junior girls or ladies coming into the STEM fields. Finally, I would say the promotion of gender-sensitive work environment is also important because, as we mentioned, STEM industries are mostly male-dominated, and so to ensure that the girls feel safe and secure in this industry, things like making sure there's pay equity, there's strong anti-harassment policies, and having like good leave, maternity and leave policies in place will also encourage more women to venture into STEM. Thank you, Irene.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's lovely to hear from both of you, from the industrial aspect and also from the societal aspect. I would like to drive my question to Dr. Ayan a little bit. Dr. Ayan, do you think there still exists a stereotype that math and science are not for women, or has this changed? And if one exists, what do you think can be done to change this stereotype?
Thank you, Irene, once again. Well, for me, I think, yes, the stereotype still exists, though I know a lot has been done and is still being done, but this stereotype still exists. So what are some of the things that I think can be done? I go back to the educational institution. So in these STEM careers, one thing I remember is most of the textbooks that I used to use would probably have pictures of men. So we see these few females in class who have to read textbooks, and all they see is there's this male mechanical engineer or civil engineer. They don't, or they see the females maybe in the nursing jobs and so forth, or in the arts. So there wasn't a lot that promotes females later on in life, because all they see, I mean, the literature goes on and emphasizes that it is the males. It's the males they are going to see in this STEM careers. So I think changing the literature, trying to include females in these textbooks could really play a role. And because we are targeting the mindset, if they can see from children as they are growing older, and they can see pictures and I can identify, oh, they are also female engineers, then they can actually opt and say, okay, it's this can be done. So a female can be seen in this field and can actually go ahead and pursue a career in that. Then secondly, I think the work environment as well. So in the work environment, you'll see it's not very accommodating, I would say, and not just the work environment, but probably also the educational institutions. It's a little bit, I would say, discriminative, where you have maybe educational institutions that probably don't have female restrooms, so they don't really accommodate for the females. And that as one aspect. And then also in the work environments, you would see like though there are policies, but we need that flexibility to allow for maternity leave and so forth. So that stereotype comes in when these females now think that why should I go on ahead to these STEM careers, and that flexibility in that work environment won't be there for me. For the females, they want to ensure that later on when they are married and so forth, they know that in these careers, which are challenging and time consuming, they are able to get those flexibilities in their work environment. So I think that that stereotype is there, knowing that this work environment, these educational institutions are meant only for the male as opposed to the females. So by improving these work environments, we can be able to actually target those stereotypes and actually get rid of them. So the other thing, thirdly, I would say we need more of the communication campaigns. Most of the stereotypes we see are at the grassroots level. So by targeting the grassroots levels, they are down there at resource limited areas, at the villages. We need to change that concept, that mindset that says that these maths and science fields are for males and not for females. These ladies are just at some point in time, they are going to get married off. So by these communication campaigns, we are able to target that stereotypes and get rid of them. Fourthly, I would say the only way to change this stereotype is by recruiting more females. So we know that the numbers are few. And the only way to change that stereotype is by increasing the number of females in these careers. And the only way we can do that is ensuring maybe there is more funding, especially in those resource limited areas. We ensure that from the higher education institutions, we need to recruit more of the females compared to their male counterparts. If it's technical education or vocational training, we need to increase that access for the females so that there are more numbers. If there are more numbers that are being seen by the public or by the community, then that stereotype is able to go by time in the future, because at least it's no longer a stereotype, but it's something that it's going to be a norm where they are able to see females that are in better proportions compared to the males. Then lastly, I would say mentorship. So the only way also to get rid of these stereotypes is to ensure the few that are coming behind us, they're able to have that confidence so that they don't drop off. They are able to have that confidence, that competitive edge, so that later on they go and compete with these men, so that when they are faced in a situation where the society has to look at them, then it's not an issue about, oh, she's a female, that is why she cannot perform. It will be an issue of, oh, these females can perform. They are just as competitive as their male counterparts. So with these few ways, I think that's how we can manage these stereotypes. Thank you, Erin.
Thank you very much. And speaking of visibility, I hope we get to see more of you so you can inspire more people, because it's very rare to meet you people here and to show the young South Sudanese females that we have doctors, we have, professors that are in the science field. So I hope we get to see more of you, Dr. Ayan, Miss Lina, and each one of the panelists really, and Dr. Engineer Flora as well. Speaking of Engineer Dr. Flora, since I want to drive you back to the education sector a little bit. What does integrated STEM require in terms of how we teach students?
Actually, STEM in its term needs all the disciplines to work together, because, for example, we teach students in geology, and the civil engineers work on the rocks and on the soil. We have the doctors use the technology, the instruments, and the information technology also use the instruments. So in teaching STEM, in terms of integrated form, it's very important that we teach students in a way that they work on problems, like solving problems together. And we can bring different disciplines together And in one project, we have different aspect of solving these problems. The civil engineers work on the side, the geologists work on the side, the technologists work on the side. So really the practical part of teaching STEM is very important. Uh, and this one comes by the availability of the laboratories. We need good laboratories. We need latest facilities in those laboratories to cope up with the current development in STEM itself. We know science, technology, engineering, and mathematics is not static. It's not, you can't have the same thing for a long time. So things change because problems keeps on coming in the field, and therefore technology has to be updated. And therefore, for us here in South Sudan, especially, we need good labs, we need latest equipment, and we need to update our curriculum in a form that it has to be integrated in a way or another for solving problems at the level of the school. We start from primary school, we have small problems, we bring the students together and they work on this problem. We make them think, other than just spoon feeding them and they go and cram. That's not the best way to teach STEM. The best way to teach STEM is when we make our students to think out and find solutions to problems. And once we start building them from primary, when they reach university, they can innovate things, they can create things, they can solve problems in the shortest time we can. And therefore, that will be to the benefit of all the nation and the whole fraternity of STEM itself. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Engineer Dr. Flora. And indeed, I do agree with you that science without practicals is basically dead, because we do need the laboratories. It's unfortunate that most schools here don't have laboratories. So I do hope that moving forward with this country, these are some of the things that need to be looked into, that, the science students and the pupils do get to, practice what they learn in school. So thank you very much for these points. Um, Engineer Labina, since your internet is on and off, I would like to quickly direct a question to you. How can we apply STEM to problems that are very interesting to young girls in South Sudan? Engineer Labina, can you hear me? Okay. She seems to be having internet problems, so I'll direct my question again back to you, Dr. Ayan. Why have women historically been underrepresented in the sciences?
Okay, thanks once again. So historically, I think women were underrepresented, and I think some of the reasons why I think I've heard from Engineer Miriam, and I think some others. One of the reasons I look at is cultural barriers. And what I'd say about cultural barriers is because I'd say that the society has assigned different roles and responsibilities to females. Like, the perception was that women are the weaker gender and women are supposed to be prepared to be homemakers. So this whole perception that males are tough while the females are weak, and looking at the maths or the STEM careers rather, are technical and they're too tough. So if it's tough, why is it for the females? So I think because of that, it's those perceptions that are the ones that made females historically to rather apply for arts and the social sciences as opposed to just to STEM careers or careers in science and maths. Secondly, which has also been mentioned, is gender inequality. So for those few women who are in STEM careers, we would see that there was no equity or equality rather between the male and the females. So in terms of pay, so you'd see for the females, they would definitely get low pay compared to their male counterparts. And also imagine after sweating through a career that is very tough and very technical, only to be given a position which is low compared to your male counterpart. So the labor market was not very friendly or encouraging the females in such careers, because you would not go and study only to be given a low position and also a low pay compared to their male counterparts. Thirdly, I think it would have to do with the inadequate enrollments. Now, this per se could be maybe those challenges, like let's see, even nowadays in South Sudan, we'd see that the numbers that are enrolled, let me not even talk about STEM careers, but I'll talk about just education. Because right now, even in South Sudan, we are trying to promote girl education. So leave alone even the STEM careers. So if the numbers are too low, definitely even the numbers would translate into the STEM careers. So historically, what I would say is that the enrollment number was too low. So it might be that the numbers were going way down through the primary level up to the secondary level, that it reached a level in the tertiary where there were too few to be enrolled into graduate degrees. So of course, even if there were too few to enroll into the graduate degrees, that would translate later to too few actually graduating from the STEM careers and entering into the labor market. And fourthly, I would say there's a limited or maybe lack of access to technical education. And it's because it was a male dominated world. So these skills were lucrative, these skills actually paid. So did not favor the females at all. So these were skills that were taken up by the males, and therefore the females who do not have that confidence, they did not even have this access to these skills that would help them to actually take up this education or these skills, learn these skills so that they can actually develop a career path. And maybe just that, I'd like to quote something from an article. So there's an article that talks about science and technology for girls in South Sudan. And I'd like to quote. It says, in many African nations, women are often excluded from the benefits of skilled labor because of a distinct lack of access to technical education. So this article actually concluded by saying that a lack of gender equality was due to an absence of support from future employers and educational institutions, which brings me to the last point of support. That support was actually lacking. So that support in terms of mentorship, in terms of society support, because there's this cultural barriers that are there, and it was a male-dominated work. So we don't have, the mentorship was quite limited in those days. And so these females would not really understand, what am I getting myself into? What are the chances for me actually soaring in these STEM careers? How much am I going to be paid? Are they flexible and so forth? Am I going to be able to be competitive enough with my male counterparts? So that support was not given to these females historically. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Just to continue on from where Dr. Ayan has, touched on, Miss Lina, what do you think are some extra or more barriers that prevents young girls in our country specifically from, doing STEM work? And indeed, how can we overcome these barriers? You're mute. Yeah.
All right. All right. Thank you, Engineer Abalo, for this second question. For the barriers that we had actually in the country, one of them is a cultural barrier. Yeah, our ladies or our girls were like designed in a way that like they shouldn't even, there's certain courses for, there's certain jobs they shouldn't go for, all right? And they were prepared just maybe after reaching 15, 16, 18, they prepare them for their houses to be a housewife. And secondly, at home, I think
I think she's having internet problems. Let's give her a few seconds. All right. If she joins back on, she will continue. I'll just go back to you, engineer. Miss Lina, you're back?
yes, sorry,
Yeah.
I think my internet was a bit disturbing.
It's okay.
Yeah, I think at home also, the parents are also contributing negatively by giving them much work, a lot of work, overworking our girls at home. By doing that, STEM needs a hardworking person. Now, from the school, you come home while work is waiting for you. Maybe kitchen is waiting for you, fetching water, the hardship sometimes we have there in the country. So this one really don't encourage them much because they would not have enough time to revise their work. And yet STEM needs a lot of revision, not just reading, but you need to practice, the stuff. That is cultural barrier. Now, if we go to, they were also made to believe that men are always superior than them, right? Men are always superior, so than them, and they switch to be in the STEM field more than they, all right, more than them. So it makes them really to lose interest, right, in that. They were made to believe that they are really a weaker gender than men, you see. And here, it makes them to lose confidence in themselves. And yet, if they really pursued it, and they will make it, you see. So these are some of the barriers that I can see. And also, we are not many enough to encourage them. Women in STEM, they are few, right? Even teachers in schools, let me tell you, in primary schools and secondary schools, they are few. And most of them, in their vicinity, they only see men who are dominating. So that one discourages them, like STEM is something very hard, and it is, always best for men, not for female, and they cannot do it. So these are some of the stuffs. Yes, I think these are few things. And also, they were not what? They were not exposed, right? They were not exposed in an environment that they would realize that they would do it, right? In an environment that they would do it. So these are some of the few barriers that I can see and which needs to be addressed. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay.
Engineer, but Labina seems to be having internet problems. So if she joins back on, we will continue on with her, a few discussion questions for her. But for now, I would like to go back to you, Dr. Engineer Flora. What have you seen that has changed, from the now when it comes to male and female in STEM, and how we are treated in this very male-dominated industry? For example, opportunities for advancement, funding, salary. What have you noticed that has changed from then until like right now?
This is a very important question, actually, because we need to track the involvement of women in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. If I look back from when I first entered the school, up to now, we have good number of girls in primary school. That's when they have not yet started to choose their disciplines, either to go to STEM or to go to social science. So what I have seen now is that there are a good number of women, as we can see in this forum now. Uh, we are here. The number is increasing. There are girls coming up. There are girls excelling actually in this field. And we find we have pilots from South Sudanese, though they are abroad, but we are still proud of them. They are part of us. We have engineers, we have doctors, uh, even if you go to local constructions nowadays, you find there are girls in building. They are involved in carrying all those heavy materials and climbing up. And also, you go to the workshops uh, where they repair cars. You find there are ladies. So ladies are coming up. Oh, I didn't know you are so afraid of thunder. We are having some thing here of rain, eh? All right. So we have girls are coming up. So that means the society is starting to understand the importance of having girls in STEM, though still they have a lot of challenges. If it comes, for example, if the family is a low income family, they will give priority to a male child to go to STEM because STEM is expensive. It's not cheap like the other compared to tuition fees and the needs and requirements. STEM studies is expensive. So in low income families, girls face challenges where they are actually not being taken care of to go to STEM because we still have the perception that male carries the name of the family, and therefore let's give male child more chance to do STEM. And this one really is very painful because if you are stopped from what you love, it's too bad. And for girls to be in STEM, it's not just a pride, but it's part of contribution to development from that side of knowledge. So ladies still get these challenges. There are also challenges of environment of learning. Uh, Currently, we are seeing girls in universities, there are mothers, there are wives. So it comes the time when they are pregnant and you have to wait for your lectures and a pregnant lady to sit for hours. It's so painful, and sometimes it has some negative impacts on the pregnancy itself. So the environment of learning is still not favorable for girls in STEM. We have also the teaching material, as some of us have talked before. They are not gender inclusive. You see them all the time. Most of the time, they may use the pronouns he rather than they to include everybody. So girls feel out of the context itself. However, there are funding opportunities because most of the sponsors they include the strong term asking for ladies should be included when there is nomination for funding itself, or if there is any nomination, they request for inclusion of female. So that opportunity is there. It's only that sometimes we not finding those ladies because they get dropped out due to so many reasons. In terms of salary differences, it only comes when they are assigned administrative positions because uh, in the same grade you can have the same salary. However, when you have administrative position, you get other allowance and it brings the salary differences. And also this one comes with the way we assign assignments, top administrative assignment for ladies. Some institutions, it still feels like putting a lady in a top position may not be the best decision because she has kids, she has husband to take care of. That should be none of their business. It's the business of the lady to manage her time and to manage her programs. If you give her the assignment and she fails to manage her time, that's when you take from that particular lady. It's a particular person, not all ladies, because it depends on how people manage their time really to conduct their duties and perform in their different positions of employment. So with that, I would like to summarize that yes, there are opportunities for ladies, and the fundings are there, though sometimes we find more men are going for those funding than ladies, and I think it's because we have very few ladies still compared to other communities, and the tuner we are very few in the higher positions of the tunership, and this one also goes back to what opportunities were given to ladies. With that, I say thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Engineer Flora. Points there, and it's good to see, to have an overview of what the women in STEM go through. Some of these things we don't get to see, but the way you've narrated everything, it's sad, but those are the things that happen, and I believe they will change with time. So thank you so much. Miriam, Engineer Miriam, my fellow chemical engineer, I just want you to give us a bit of a day-to-day task. What does a chemical or process engineer do? And a lot of people normally confuse chemical engineering with chemists, a chemical engineer with a chemist. Can you just give a bit of a few difference? What are the major difference between a chemical engineer and a chemist?
Both fields are very important and deserve greater public recognition. But as much as they're similar and sometimes can be confused, they are also distinct. And I will explain the differences using four major categories. So one, the area of study. Chemistry or chemists use chemistry to investigate the behavior and interaction of chemicals and reactions. And some of the subjects they study include organic chemistry, inorganic chemistry, analytical, biochemistry, so on. While chemical engineering is more multidisciplinary in its approach, and it includes all these topics I've mentioned, but also it has aspects of physics and maths. And subjects can be fluid dynamics, heat transfer, equipment design, and so on. So the chemical and process engineer basically optimize processes for adding value to the raw materials. Secondly, focus. The focus for chemists tend to be on developing novel materials and processes, and even analyzing substances and testing theories. Um, while the chemical engineering students will focus mostly on turning these new ideas and discoveries into useful products. And this will entail the design, manufacture, and operation of plants and machinery. Thirdly, I'll talk about the careers. For chemists, typical jobs within the fields include like analytical chemists, clinical biochemists, forensic scientists, pharmacologists, research scientists, and so on. Because and also the skills learned in studying chemistry can also be applied in other positions such as environmental consultant, teacher, or even like a science writer. Finally, I've seen many chemists actually in the end moving towards becoming chemical engineers. So a chemist does not mean that's the end of the career. You can decide as well to add more knowledge and skills and become a chemical engineer. So in that sense, chemical engineers, the roles in that discipline include field engineers in the oil and gas, for example, environmental control engineers in waste treatment, biotechnical, even biofuel production. So you have process engineers in food and beverage industries. So as you can see, the careers also, like the chemical engineers are more into the factory and in the field, while the chemists are more within the lab and also research. So the last point would be the workplace. I've already touched on it. So as much as we can find both chemists and chemical engineers in classrooms as professors or teachers, and in offices as managers, and in the field as well, most chemists tend to work in the laboratories, performing the analysis and research development, while the chemical engineers tend to work at the planned end of the research. They can still be found in laboratories, but they're mostly in the factories or in the industry. A good example will be, you'll have a chemist working in the lab, developing a new drug using small amounts of materials, and then you'll have a chemical engineer coming in and working in a factory-size equipment to scale up this drug production. So they take the experiments from the laboratory and operate them on a commercial scale, taking into account economics, safety, and even sustainability. So hopefully this gives a brief comparison of the two, and hopefully people can differentiate much better between chemical engineering and chemists. Thank you, Irene.
Thank you so much. Engineer Labina. She will not be able to join us back. Her internet is very weak at the moment, so she failed to connect back. But however, we'll continue on with our discussion. I would like to ask a round of final questions for each of my panelists. I'll start with Ms. Lina. Any advice to the young girls who might be having interest in joining your career path?
Yeah, thank you very much. I have got, a couple of advices to sorry, the internet. I have a couple of advice to our fellow young girls from South Sudan who are aspiring to become or to follow my path, and I would like to advise them that they can do it. If me myself I can do it, I did it, they can also do it. That is one. And number two, I would like to tell them that the field of STEM is one of the green pastures field. All right. Like me, for example, right now in this field of natural medicine, I realized there are a lot of things to be done, and at the same time, those things are the opportunity also to become like rich. Because right now from this field I just found myself started developing natural products. Right now I'm flooding the markets with natural products for skin, right? So it is one of the green pastures field that they should venture in to. Number three, they should develop confidence in themselves, right? The ladies, the girls should develop confidence in themselves. Of course, to do that, it is us also to encourage them to overcome the barriers they had. It is us to encourage them, and we bring them to see whatever we have been doing in the lab, right? Coming up with pharmaceuticals, right? Doing scientific researches, scientific experiments, those stuffs. So, and I would like to also encourage them to develop interest in it because it's one of the best fields they should venture into, right? And at least to show out that there are also women in South Sudan who are doing, great things, and they can also compete with the rest of the ladies or girls outside there. So it's one of the great field that they should venture in too. Yeah. And I would like to one day, maybe if I go to Juba, I would expose maybe. I think we should plan how to maybe visit the schools and show them what I'm doing actually, right? And the benefits of it. Imagine if I can sell my products within the East Africa, right, countries, then is it not a good idea? Is it not a good thing? You eat from what you develop, what you read, you eat from it. It's something amazing, you see. Otherwise, thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that's important. Yeah. I direct the same question to you, Dr. Ayan. What would you have any advice for the young girls who might want to follow in your footsteps?
Thanks, Irene. Well, the first thing I want to say that if it's challenging, always remember the rewards are promising and they are very sweet. It actually pays. So the advice I'd like to give to them is to always remember the goal and to stay so focus driven such that when there are any challenges that they get to experience, they won't be tempted so much to actually drop off. Then the other advice I'd give to them is to take some time have some time when they can actually reflect and do some soul searching, because it's in such scenes or in such times where they can actually get the strength to continue to pursue these careers if they want to follow up in a career like mine. That's where they will get the strength and they'll be able to even push on and also block those negative voices or discouraging voices that are telling them this is not for them. Then the third advice I'd like to say is that they should actively look for where one can get mentorship. At least from this platform, we've actually seen some female role models already. And so they shouldn't just sit down. Let them look for where they can get that mentorship. Have that female role model in front of you and then try to emulate them. Try and get encouragement from them. Try to build that confidence, the confidence that they probably will need to be able to soar later on in future. Then fourthly, just tied to the third advice that I've given to them is that they shouldn't stay alone. Let them draw strength, let them get confidence and from groups like such, like for example, I said I'm part of the SWIM, which is Sudanese Women in Medicine. This non-profit NGO is made up of female medics, of females in the three different specialties of medicine, pharmacy, and dentistry. These are women of integrity who have gone ahead in the career world, who are making it, who are actually contributing to the society. So what I can say is I'm actually inviting them to SWIM because by identifying with some female role models in this NGO that I'm talking about, they are able to get that confidence, they are able to get that strength when they feel a little bit weak. And by that, they are bound and they are sure to actually excel and proceed in their career paths. Thank you, Irene.
Thank you so much. I hope they are listening and taking notes. I'll come to you as well, Dr. Engineer Flora. What will you tell the younger South Sudanese females or hopefuls who want to be like you or want to do what you're doing or what you've done? You are mute.
Sorry about that. All right. So I was saying this is one of the very important questions Uh, we really need to advise this young female, and we have two categories. We have those who have already joined the STEM, and there are those who are still in the lower level of education, who even doesn't know the difference. All right, because the courses there are given as general and everybody takes. You have not been given the chance of choosing STEM or social science. So for those who are already in STEM, I would like to tell them that as you have started, you can finish, and you can be who you aspire to be an engineer, to be a doctor, to be a scientist. You can, because all of us here in this forum have been through the challenges you are facing now. Less has changed, but I can still see the same challenges we face when we were students, you are still facing. So, regardless of those challenges, you can make it, finish it, and be the engineer, the scientist, and the doctor you wanted to be. For the young ones who are still in primary, uh, I also would like to tell them that they have no difference with their fellow colleagues, male colleagues. They are all uh, have the capacity, and they have to be determined in their studies, and they will find themselves in STEM. And as such, it's good to look for a mentor. One of our colleagues have talked about that, because they can find a lot of challenges in the residence area. Those discouraging sentiments like, these are men's work. One time, one of our colleagues told me, "What are you coming to do in the field?" I told him, colleague, we are all here teaching assistants. That was when I was a teaching assistant. So we still face these challenges even if we are working. So they have to be determined. They have to look for mentor, because the mentor can help advise them and guide them on how to be a successful career lady and a successful mother, a successful wife. Because for us, it's a big task. We have to be successful in all social and in our career. So we need to provide mentors, and they have to look for mentors so that they are helped out with certain things which are not clear for them of how to handle them. So I would like to tell them that they can do it, since we can do it. And most of us are successful mothers, successful wives, successful careers. We have reached the top positions ever we can, respectively, because sometimes they attach with certain things which are actually not happening, negative things. But we need to tell them that you can be a successful woman in STEM and in high level, respectively, and carrying your duties as required, like your counter male colleague. So those are the little I can say. There are a lot to talk about, but I just summarized them here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I like the point of you saying you've gotten to where you are or where we are respectfully. There's no gain without sweat, really, as you know, the common term, and there's no shortcut to success. So I'm very inspired today. I'll come to you as well, Engineer Miriam. What will you tell the younger females who want to follow into your footsteps, who want to be an energy engineer or a chemical engineer, or to be you, for example?
Thank you, Irene. My colleagues have mentioned everything. I'll just reiterate maybe a few. So ask questions. There are other women, girls in the STEM already, because STEM courses are really varied. They are even chemical engineering itself. as I talked earlier about the confusion between chemical engineering and chemists. So do research, ask questions, and work hard. Yes, I think that is what I'm able to say for now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have come to the end of our discussion, really. But before we go, I would like to ask Miss Lina, how can we access some of your products? You did mention earlier you have some natural products. How do we get them?
Yes. Uh, my natural products are being sold in custom market, and I think it is also online. We have a Facebook page called Lee Rayon Naturals. Lee Rayon, LIRAYON, Lee Rayon Naturals. That is on Facebook. Yeah, we can order it online, but in Juba, you can get it at Custom Market. One of the boutique of one of my agent called Emmanuel. He's called Emma at Custom Market. Yeah, so that's where you can get it. But the feel of natural product is the best because that's where you can even isolate some chemicals to be synthesized as a conventional medicine, because that's the difference between the natural medicine and the conventional medicine. With the conventional medicine, they isolate the phytochemicals. One of the active ingredient, they isolate. But for us, because it works in synergy, so we don't isolate. But if you want to isolate, you can still isolate and get money. You can use as a standard, chemical standard. So it's a rich field, believe me. It's a very, very rich field. So my colleague, a pharmacologist, that one, he knows what it is. He knows. She knows, sorry.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
One
you
of the
so much.
richest.
I hope
And I would
whoever
like
is
to meet my
listening
colleagues in
took
Juba.
note of that.
Sorry. Soon I will be
No,
in
no,
Juba.
no,
I
go
would
ahead.
like to meet. Soon I will be in Juba. I would like to meet uh, all of these colleagues of mine. I will be at Juba University, definitely, to meet
Welcome.
Professor Ross, the dean. Maybe through the dean, then I'll get access to maybe all of you. Is it possible?
Nice.
Thank
Nice.
you. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much,
Yeah.
my wonderful panelists. I've learned. I hope the audience that is watching, listening, have also learned and they've been motivated and they've been inspired. And if there are more questions that they may have later on, I do hope you're easily approachable for them to answer some of their questions, including Engineer Labina, who is not here. If there are questions for her later on, feel free to ask in the South Sudan Women Intellectual Forum, and she will access them. I want to thank you, panelists, once more. I would also like to thank the UN Women for hosting us, for always being generous enough to always host us. The wonderful people who have been helping us set up the internet in the beginning, thank you so much. Aisha in the back, thank you as well. And you, the viewers, thank you for tuning in. And I hope you continue to support the South Sudan Women Intellectual Forum, support your females, and yeah, together we can. Thank you so much, and I wish you all a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Bye.
Thank you.